Greetings family, peace and love to you and yours. This is Guru and thanks for visiting my channel. This video is an open letter to all NFL players. Let's get organized. This is from Russell Okung, the offensive tackle of the LA Chargers. It starts off, fellow NFL players. By now, you've likely read the commissioner's letter addressed to NFL executives and have seen reports about the league's upcoming meetings. It occurs to me that any attempt to respond collectively as players is complicated by numerous challenges and that our options for speaking with one voice are limited. This means we can either wait until we receive our respective marching orders, speak up individually, or find a way to collaborate and exercise our agency as the lifeblood of the league. Over the past few years, I've thought a lot about how we might have a meaningful conversation together. I wish it were as simple as public perception would have you believe that we all have each other's cell phone numbers and hang out together on a regular basis. Since that's not the case, I hope this letter reaches as many active players as possible and serves as a catalyst to convene a conversation among those of us who are uncomfortable having important decisions made without us in the room. Things have clearly gotten out of control. As a pragmatist, I will admit I initially doubted the merits of Colin Kaepernick's protest and questioned his strategy. I was wrong. There is now no doubt in my mind that what we did last season was a courageous, prophetic, self-sacrificial act that has captivated a nation and inspired a powerful movement. If I had his cell phone number, I would tell him that. As Cap's message has now been distorted, co-opted, and used to further divide us along the very racial lines he was highlighting, we as players have a responsibility to come together and respond collectively. But how can this happen practically? The uncharted territory we're dealing with requires us to innovate if we are to effectuate any meaningful change. If we are to look back at this moment with pride when our grandchildren ask us one day how we responded to the circumstances we now face. This requires some sober self-reflection and a greater awareness of what is limiting our effectiveness. Ours is a unique dynamic. The NFL Players Association, for better or worse, is limited in its capacity to unify our interests. Unlike a traditional labor union, the foundational nature of our relationship to each other is defined by fierce competition and learned opposition. The system is designed to keep us divided and to stifle our attempts to collaborate. We're made to see each other as the enemy. Indeed, the system celebrates when it puts us at odds with one another. The system celebrates when it puts us at odds with one another. As a competitor who loves the game, I can appreciate this aspect of the league to a certain extent, but the current controversy is obviously about much more than football. How true that is. Currently, the will of the players who align with Cap's message is being diluted. Rather than our collective voice prevailing in a way that spans the league, you are seeing individual teams respond separately to the protests in 32 different ways. It's telling that these decisions are being made at the team level and not being driven by the interests of the players collectively. Some teams are standing and locking arms. Some are staying in the locker room, and some are now being banned from protesting altogether. While many of us can be grateful that our ownership groups don't take direct orders from the president, we are also aware that the owners are much more united than we are as players. Player protests have caused such a disturbance that the NFL has now chimed in and prioritized discussions on this topic for next week's meetings. Well, I'm going to stop right here for a second And I just want to say that this meeting that comes up, I hope that these owners, these so-called slave owners is what I call them, because that's what they act like. They're acting like slave owners. These owners need to stay out of it. If you're not standing for justice, sit the hell down and shut up. We're tired of you white supremacist owners or people in charge who want to dictate how people protest or how people are voicing their opinions when they're very dissatisfied. We don't take orders from you. That's the main point. You need to understand that. Owners, I digress. Let me get back into this. Owners have the ability to quickly and efficiently communicate, collaborate, and align their objectives to serve the broader interests of the Shield. By and large, they are carrying out a strategy to this end, regardless of how it impacts us as players and regardless of how much it reflects our actual will. I don't mean this to sound disparaging or suspicious of all NFL players. Again, it's just an observation of how the system is designed. It is, in many ways, what we all signed up for. He continues, while I don't have all the answers as to how to ensure we are not robbed of this moment, I am convinced that we will never make progress if we do not find a way to come together and take action that represents the will of the players. What we have is strength in numbers, but our strength is currently not being leveraged because we have no means of direct communication that is not, in some way, shape, or form, controlled, monitored, or manipulated by outside forces. So here's my idea. Let's open up a line of communication just between us and be ready to respond with one voice as players. Let's transcend the natural divisions that have been defined by the league and sanitized by a fictional narrative of competition above all else. Now, I can't exactly put my phone number or email address in this letter for obvious reasons. But there's another way to start moving things forward. I'm going to initially lean on Twitter, the preferred social tool of our day, and attempt to connect us with each other. If you follow me at Russell Okung, I will follow back and DM you next steps for collaboration. From there, we can build out and discuss options for a better way to communicate with one another going forward. Again, I don't have all the answers, but I'm hoping to help facilitate some practical next steps by first addressing our limited ability to communicate. I look forward to hearing from you on the President's favorite medium. Until then, stay strong. Much love, R.O. Wow, that was nice. Family, that was a very good open letter. I don't think it really touched hard on some of the issues, especially that have transpired over this course of time. The letter did not highlight how Donald Trump has changed the narrative completely from what Colin Kaepernick and others have been kneeling for. They are deflecting. This is a sure sign that white supremacy is trying to get around and scapegoat the discussion of how we end it. This is a problem. It's a national problem. It is a worldly problem. And this needs to be discussed once and for all. If you are a black NFL player, you are part of 70% of the NFL. If you don't understand the control that you have, the power that you have, if you don't understand, then you will not be kneeling for injustice, but instead you'll be standing with white supremacy. That's all I have to say. I'm going to end this off here. Before I go, I just want to say there is one other person that did another open letter that I came across. This is an ex-Green Beret by the name of Nate Boyer. Before I end this off, I just want to touch on a brief segment of his open letter just so you can see a whole different side and different viewpoint.
News today, NFL owners are considering a rule to require players to stand for the national anthem. The issue's dominated headlines this season, and today the league said it will take up the issue at the owners' meeting next week. So in an excerpt of a memo sent to all 32 teams on Tuesday, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell wrote this: "The current dispute over the national anthem is threatening to erode the unifying power of our game and is now dividing us and our players from many fans across the country. Like many of our fans, we believe that everyone should stand for the national anthem. It's an important moment in our game. We want to honor our flag and our country, and our fans expect that of us. We also care deeply about our players and respect their opinions and concerns about critical social issues. The controversy over the anthem is a barrier to having honest conversations and making real progress on the underlying issues. We need to move past this controversy, and we want to do that together with our players." Ladies, your reaction?
So family, again, this is an open letter from Nate Boyer. I'm just going to read a segment of it. First of all, he starts off with, of course, a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, which says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Well, that's noble for him to write. But here's what he says. He says, "Dear every single American, every single American, including President Trump, Colin Kaepernick, and my brothers in arms overseas who are wondering what in the hell is going on back there. I'm sitting in the same chair in the same apartment that I sat in almost a year ago when I wrote an open letter to Colin Kaepernick. I was hurt when I saw him sitting on the bench during the national anthem, but I'm much more hurt now. Not by him, not by where we are now with the protests, but by us. Simply put, it seems like we just hate each other, and that is far more painful to me than any protest or demonstration or rally or tweet. We're told to pick a side. There's a line drawn in the sand. Are you with us or against us? It's just not who we are, or at least who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be better than that. We're Americans. This doesn't seem to be about right or wrong, but more about right or left." And he continues by saying, "Today, it feels like this national divide isn't even really about the anthem or the flag or kneeling or sitting or fists in the air. It's not about President Donald Trump. It's not about Colin Kaepernick. It's not about the military or even police brutality. It feels like it's about winning. That's what makes America so great, our sheer competitiveness. We're winners, and we won't quit until victory is ours." So family, as you just heard the second part of this video that I did on an open letter written by this person, Nate Boyer, if you recall what I just read, it seems like some people are so focused on switching this narrative, and Nate Boyer did, slightly a good job at that, at changing the narrative. Look, this is not about the anthem. We've made that clear, crystal clear many times. This is not about the flag. We've made that clear plenty of times. This is not about the military, and we've made that crystal clear plenty of times. But white supremacists, and I'm going to say this so clear, because if you don't get this, then you must be a white supremacist yourself, and I don't care what color you are. If you don't understand that this is not about the flag, it's not about the military, and it's not about the anthem, then you are under a rock. You have not been paying attention, and you are part of the problem. I'm going to leave it off there. I'm going to end this. Thanks a lot for watching. Peace to you and yours. I really hope that these NFL players, all of them in solidarity, kneel for injustice. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. I'm out.